again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski. Some people call me Grizzer. And this is where you can get caught up on some of the latest news involving our favorite team in the NFL, the best team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes, who has subscribed to the channel, everyone who has gotten into the Browns' latest dog pound by scanning the QR code. I appreciate that. And to everyone who gets their comments in the viewer comment section. Now, coming up on today's show, the last preseason game of the training camp is here, and we finally get a chance to see Joe Flacco in action. We'll also take a look at what you should be watching for as this game plays out. And we'll have some bold predictions about what we think is going to happen. And then down in the viewer comments, we need to discuss what Eric Dickerson said. We will break it all down. But first things first, the game's today at 1. Kevin will talk about it tomorrow on the Zoom after he watches the film. And then they're in regular season mode, so no availability on Monday. Practices will be in the middle of the week. No game next week because week 1 is September 7th. After today, the next game, the Bengals. We get ready to beat the Bengals. Now, this game today, if we don't destroy the Rams, we got a problem. Here's the thing. The Rams have already pretty much decided their 53-man roster, so anybody who's out there for them, for the most part, is just playing for a backup role, including quarterback. No Stafford, no Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is their backup. Neither one of them is playing because Garoppolo is going to be the starter because Matthew Stafford can't get healthy. He says he thinks he's going to be healthy for week 1, but you will not see Matthew Stafford or Jimmy Garoppolo. You will see Dresser win. Hold on, I'll wait for everybody to go, who? Dresser Wynn. He's from the UFL. They signed him. He's 26, and he's out of UT Martin. So, came out, he was undrafted. I know that's a shock, but he was undrafted in 2023. The Rams need a body. They need somebody to get him through this game. And so, you got that to watch. With our number one defense going against Dresser Wynn, come on. One thing to watch for, this running back they have, Cody Schrader. Everybody's all, Browns need a running back. We don't need a running back. But apparently this Cody Schrader guy is on the bubble, but he's had a really good training camp. So when he's in there, you can pay attention to him. And then their second-round pick, Terrence Ferguson, he's a tight end. He's going to see his first action today against the Brownies. He was held out of the first 2 preseason games because he had a groin injury. Groins are like the next, or maybe tied with hamstrings, as the most lingering injuries. And so that's why as soon as I heard Pickett, even Gabriel, they had the, the hamstring thing. Like that was something you knew it wasn't going to go away quickly. Okay, now what to watch for today? That's what the Rams are going to throw at us. But here's what we need to watch for. Flacco's in there, and then we've heard that starters are going to get anywhere from 20 to 25 plays. They're all on individual counts. I mean, everybody's going to have something a little bit different. But, hey, the rookies were on blast when it came to the efficiency and getting in and out of the huddle and these pre-snap penalties and all this stuff. Flacco's on blast today. Let's make sure that they're, it's the efficiency of the offense. Let's see how it's run. I want to see how the play action works with Grandpa Joe too. I mean, he's really good at it, and hopefully he puts on a show in the system that he loves. Also, want to see that rapport with Judy and Njoku, especially. Judy can do what Amari Cooper did with Flacco a couple of years ago. So remember that. I'll see if we get a little bit of that today before they're in and out of there. Same with Njoku. See if they can rekindle their romance that they had in 2023. The running backs, let's see how they use Ford and Sampson. I picture Sampson that between the inside runner and Ford, get him outside, get him in space, get the ball in his hands. That we saw a little bit of that at training camp. Let's see if we see it today in the game. The wide receivers, Deontay Johnson better do something. I still think he's on the bubble. The offensive line, I want to see that. This is the ones, okay? So this wide zone blocking should be top-notch today. And so Watch for that. They're going to stretch it out. Remember that play, the touchdown Amani Marshall had last week. Stretch it out, and then you cut back. That's what you're looking for. You stretch it out and then cut back. So let's look for that today. The defensive line, watch Graham and Garrett get to work together for the first time. This is going to just keep getting better and better the more they play together. And against Dresser Wynn, oh my gosh. I hope they have like somebody ready to hit 911 just in case, because this could get ugly for poor Dresser. And then the kicking game, man. I'm telling you, Dustin Hopkins on alert. Schmidt's coming after him. And if he gets opportunities today, and because Stefanski kind of danced around when they asked him about the kicking situation, and asked about week 1, and he kind of said, he's like, I'm excited for Andre, he made those kicks, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with week 1. And he added it was always the plan to have Schmidt kick in one of the games. So I don't know if they were just trying to get him some tape or what. I mean, they are paying Hopkins, but he's been a little sketchy, but we need Dusty to get it together. Bottom line, we need the 2023 Dustin Hopkins. And now that brings us to our bold prediction. So, Dave, what's going to happen today? Here's what I think. I think Flacco will look fine. Nothing more, nothing less. I think, he's the safe play at QB1, and that's what he'll bring. That's what he's going to look like today. I think he'll get us in the red zone and get us multiple scores. I think he'll get us at least a touchdown in the field goal, if not a couple of touchdowns. I think they're going to really set him up to just ease everybody's minds. I think that's what's going to happen today with Joe Flacco. I think Gabriel, it's going to be the same thing we saw last week. It's going to be that game management, play it safe, kind of blasé, a lot of high percentage passes. Who knows? They'll probably run the ball a lot more with him. But with him, he better get his play action together, because that's a big part of this offense. So there's another here. There's a bold prediction, what to watch for. Watch to see if Gabriel can get play action going. Now, I think Shedeur is going to light it up again. I mean, you don't think after what happened last week with Gabriel and the whole, all of that, and then Dion coming out and, he has some advice, for him and Shiloh, and and he said, I love it too. I think this is a good one. I'll probably use this with my kids. He said, my deal with my kids is that they don't have to be the best, but they have to give their best. And I think that's a great, great quote. That's something you hang on the wall. And Dion, just encouraging Shedeur and Shiloh. And I just think, at home for the first time in front of the hometown fan, you don't think that place is going to go nuts? We're going to more on that in a minute, because somebody yelled at me about Shedeur. I think Isaiah Bond, bold statement, will make his own statement today. Watch for it. I told you, man. They're trying to get him up to speed, and it might just be a fly pattern, and Flacco might just try to throw it under him. But you'll see him. That is one of my bold predictions. I think Dylan Sampson will look good with the number 1 offensive line out there. I think he's going to look really good. And then, this is an easy one. The defense is going to continue to shine. And it's Dresser Wynn. Wait. Yes. Everybody said, who? Again, Dresser Wynn, UT Martin, undrafted. Come on. Guy's practically in the Hall of Fame. It'd be nice to see the defense get a better test, but, we'll take what we can get. So, anyway, already in the Hall of Fame, the viewer comments. And this is where things are going to get interesting, folks. Sean Willis, 6496, says, let's talk about the conversation that Eric Dickerson spoke on. Now, people were on me because I did not talk about this yesterday, but here's the situation, folks. I had to record earlier yesterday. Why? Because I called a high school football game on a Thursday night. In Ohio, Northeast Ohio, high school football is massive. And so they started on Thursday night, week 1. And so on Thursday night, I had to call a game. So I had to record early. And then I had to call another game last night, too. So that's why I didn't get to the Dickerson stuff. But we are today. And here is part of what Eric Dickerson said. He said about Shedeur. What I heard from someone that's in the NFL told others, don't draft him, meaning Shedeur. Do not draft him. We're going to make an example out of him. This came from a very good source, according to Eric Dickerson. He said that, and he wouldn't say who, but he said somebody called the Browns and said, don't do that. Don't draft them. And he said, the reason is They don't like it when guys, especially black players, that's mostly with the brand, some guys are flashy. And, he talked about Shedeur, and some of the deals that he already has. And, he made millions off of a shoe deal and millions off of something else, but here's the thing. We already talked about this. Remember when the NFLPA thing came out and the Watson contract thing? And I said, there's no reason to believe there wasn't collusion with Shedeur or you could stop short of calling it collusion, call it an agreement, call it whatever you want. But we talked about this already, people. You don't have to call me out on this. I'm on record for saying there's no reason not to believe that this. I'm sure this happened, whether it was Dion or whatever. But we saw this with the Deshaun Watson contract. That's why Lamar Jackson got screwed on his deal. That's why it took so long to get that together, because all the owners said, "Don't be paying these guys. You can't be giving $230 guaranteed. You can't do that," because the Browns screwed that up too. Well. Browns went and screwed this up because they said, we're not going to listen. We're not listening to you. We're going to take them. And they took them. So, that's that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that there was, like I said, I don't know what you want to call it. And I kept saying, we got to have the 30 for 30. I want the 30 for 30. I mean, I've talked about this multiple times. And people are in the comments saying, he doesn't want to talk about that. Oh, I'm disappointed you didn't talk about it. I'm like, I had a high school game to call. And we've talked about this a lot. So there's that. I love Eric Dickerson, by the way. God, man, he was so good. He's money. But I give him credit. I give him a ton of credit. And, I have every reason to believe I think he's telling the truth. All right, 97 Buckeye guy says, this channel is going to beep with your constant Shedeur riding. I'm going to start calling you Unc Grizz. Maybe Dion will invite you to a family barbecue with the rest of the psychopaths. Okay, here's the thing. One, I'd love to go to one of Dion's barbecues. I just want to bring my family. I want to bring my wife and the boys. I would love to go to one of Dion's barbecues. Sounds like it would be a blast because I love Dion, and I want to tell him my story about when he saved my bet and he was doing the dance and I'm doing the dance. My mom thought I was nuts and my dad was having a heart attack in the chair. It was great. That was one of the most memorable moments with my dad, and I want to thank Dion for that. But here's the other thing. As much as I went around and you ask about Dillon Gabriel and if the Browns made the right decision taking him in the third round. You ask any Browns fan, they will tell you absolutely not. Walk around and ask them if Shedeur should be playing ahead of Dillon Gabriel. Every single Browns fan will tell you absolutely he should. I was at call it whatever I've been at picnics, barbecues, high school game, whatever you go, everywhere I go. You ask about Shedeur, everybody wants to see Shedeur. Everybody saw what everybody saw against the Panthers, and everybody wants more. Everybody saw what they saw against the Eagles, and everybody wants a little bit less of that. So, just telling you, Buckeye, I love you, brother, but God, like it's not just me. Everybody wants to see this. Had to use this YouTube handle only because it is Old Grizz 8720. Love it. Pickett was constantly hurt when playing in Pittsburgh. That's why he's gone. Well, Old Grizz, this is another thing we talked about twice on this show. I broke it all down. I had graphics, multiple graphics, because Kenny Pickett's injury history is so long. I couldn't fit them all on one graphic. Multiple graphics. And I predicted this way back before even training camp started. I said Pickett is going to get hurt. Why? Because he always gets hurt. And we showed graphics then too. So Old Grizz, go back and find those shows. It's almost like I came from the future in some respects when it comes to Kenny Pickett. CJ Hunter, 5574. Don't understand why they seem to be so high on Gabriel. Well, here's the thing. I think today maybe we'll learn a little bit more. I mean, he throws another pick. Look out. Look out if he throws a pick. People are going to lose their minds if he throws another pick. Or if he looks blasé again. Or if it's another, if we got drives stalling and we're kicking field goals. I mean, Andre Schmidt will be happy, but we're not going to be happy. And then Shedeur comes in. Whoo! I'm telling you, this is the best thing that could happen. Those two against the same team in the same game. Let's go. Sign me up for that. And we'll end on Stella Wilson, 714, who says Stefanski's trying to be slick. Putting Shedeur in last will keep eyes on the game and will satisfy the NFL and the sponsors who are upset that the ratings for preseason game number 2 were so low because Shedeur was benched. Now, she might be right. Because in newscasts, like back in the day, back when there wasn't 50 gazillion ways to get news, back when it was like 3 stations, I worked in television news, you would always put the story that people would talk about, they called it the kicker. You'd always put the kicker at the end of the show, and you teased it a couple of times through the newscast. You know, people would stay to the end and see the water skiing squirrel. Water skiing squirrel is one of the fan favorites when it comes to kickers. And so these days, though, you say, hey, there is a squirrel that can water ski. All I do is I do this. I grab my phone. Oh, water skiing squirrel. Oh, there he is. Look at that. I don't have to wait for the kicker anymore. But this time you will have to wait for the kicker because Shedeur will be third. So wait for the kicker. And it's going to be fun. This is, again, this has been the most interesting the 3 preseason. I've never watched preseason until this year. Like, it's insane how I'm watching these games like from beginning to end. I've never done that with a preseason game until this year because it's been such an interesting training camp, the quarterback battle, all of it. Okay, we're done. Enjoy the game. We'll break it down. We'll pick it apart tomorrow. Go Browns! We'll see you next time.